here to share one of Surface 5 core cuts, Freedom. Freedom gives a longer layered, more soft type of look and movement to any longer length haircut. Doing a complete consultation with any Surface core cut is essential to really knowing your guest's wants, needs, dislikes, and likes. I simply asked Marnie if she wanted to be more soft and subtle or maybe turn a little bit of heads. Marnie spoke and said that she really wanted to be more soft and subtle. I want you to remember 3 things that Wayne Grund has really instilled with me in the core cutting. Number 1, always cut with your end result in mind. Number 2, always cut in the direction that you want the hair to move. Number 3, remember that shorter hair pushes and moves longer hair. Throughout the haircut, we're really gonna put a personal touch on it by really creating like a network of smaller hairs called framing that's gonna help push the longer hairs, therefore giving Marnie effortless volume and style without having to really commit to any really short, choppy layering in her hair. Marnie has been prepared with some of Surface Protein Cream. Protein Cream is a wonderful product to be used to prep any type of haircut that you'll be doing. It's really great for thicker hair textures, and it consists of a light whip of our famous basu oil with a light blend of our amaranth protein. It's a vegan flower protein that's harvested from Peru and can be layered and put into the hair for volume and flexibility. The protein cream can be found from the Trinity line, which is mainly for strength and volume. It's a really great hair cutting agent, but also wonderful to give to your guests to take home for a daily leave-in or with a little light control and styling. Some of the Surface art tools that we'll be using today in the Freedom core cut are also essential to kind of creating that detailed work and customized haircut for your guest before they leave the salon. Starting with our TK Surface Comb. Working with the Surface Comb really allows me to perform target partings in all of our hair cutting. Surface likes to use target partings throughout the core system and any trend cuts because clean partings are essential to a great haircut. The Surface Comb allows me to create target partings because of the wonderful tooth on the top so that I can really swiftly comb through the hair without getting through any of the knots. We also are using Surface clips. It's got a really nice beak at the top so that we can also create wonderful partings throughout the hair. It puts just enough pressure on the hair without compromising the integrity of the hair fiber. Not only does Surface respect your personal health as well as the earth, but we really keep in mind of the stylist's needs. The company itself, Surface, was really created by hairdressers for hairdressers. Our haircut today wouldn't be like any other haircut unless we used the Surface razor. The Surface razor allows you to get 30% more cutting room on one blade. You can use just this particular part of the razor, therefore this being useful on the end as well, cutting down a lot of the waste. Another unique thing about our razor is that it has a silicone guard on it. And if you notice that the silicone guard is extremely close to the blade. This allows us to get a really close haircut, crisp and fresh on the ends. There also is no harm to the skin whatsoever because of that fabulous Surface blade. It can be used on curly hair and is an extremely flexible silicone guard. Not to mention that it's very petite and ergonomically designed. With the Surface Freedom, they've really mapped out a roadmap, so to speak, on the head shape. We know that following the head shape is really important to customize that cut for your guests. We know that not every head shape is created equal. That's why using the Surface roadmap is huge when it comes to the 5 core cuts, and any of our trend cutting really stems off of the 5 core cuts. We've got the side ridge and the rear ridge, and we'll be working in the blue zone, the black zone, the green zone, and the red zone. We color them differently so then throughout the haircut, when I'm talking about a specific colored zone, you can really follow. Any good haircut starts with clean target partings. The way that you find the rear ridge on any head shape is taking your comb and placing it on the flat surface of the head, more horizontally. You then want to take another comb, or in this instance I will use my razor, place it parallel with the head shape but more vertically. Where those 2 combs would meet is where the side ridge can be found, including the rear ridge. Placing your comb on the flat of the head, another comb parallel, and where those 2 meet is where the rear ridge would be. So using the surface comb, we're going to use our target partings and separate the rear ridge from the back ridge and separate it completely from the red and the blue zone. As you can see, the top tooth really allows me to cleanly separate out that hair. Again, scooping down and just really gliding over the rear ridge, grasping that hair in my palm as to not drop it down into the blue or the red zone. I'm just going to clip that out of the way just so that I can complete this section all the way to the front of the head, ending in the temple area. Whenever I work with partings like this, I always clip the hair out of my way and take a look at the big picture. I know that I need to add a little bit more hair into this back portion just so that I can even out this area and make sure that my haircut is precise. Even though it's a small thing, it's the small things that mean everything. Marnie's length has already been pre-cut, and it was pre-cut in a pinching manner, taking sections of the hair about this wide, traveling around side of the perimeter, and then shattering off the ends to make a more distressed looking perimeter. So now we're going to hold back the blue and red zone because the first section that we will be working in is going to be the black and the green zone in our haircut. I always like to section out the top from the bottom first, just so that you can really see and visualize that parting, and we won't worry about this bottom portion until later into the haircut. Now that we've dropped down the green and the black zone, it's now time to separate the green and black zone. The way that you find the separation of the green and black is placing your surface comb on the flat of the head. Right where that comb starts to kind of lift up is where you're going to separate the green and the black zone. Again, target partings and clean partings are essential to a great haircut. We'll just twist that out of our way and comb the remainder of the black zone all the way back. Now it's time to choose what type of cutting technique that we're going to pick for Marnie. Depending on their hair texture and the density and the desired look that they're trying to achieve determines what type of wide shattering or smaller shattering that you may be doing with your razor. Marnie has a medium to coarse texture on her hair. She's got quite a bit of hair on her head. So I know that I can use a wider shattering motion, therefore putting more movement, texture, and removing a lot of density from her head. If she had a finer hair type, I might do a movement something like this, or maybe a swift movement like that, which may retain a lot of that heaviness that we would need in a haircut. Working in this black zone on the highest point of the head, we're going to begin with our very first cut, and this is where I determine the shortest point of the entire haircut. This allows you as a stylist to be extremely creative. If Marnie wanted to do something more rocker and kind of edgy, I could go a lot shorter with this, keeping her disconnected length and putting in a lot of texture. Remember on the new guest form, she did say she wanted to be more soft and subtle. Therefore, we're going to respect the length and just clean up her layering slightly. Taking the spine of my razor, I'm going to press it against the hair, flip it, and then shatter softly upward. Moving along in the black zone, I'm going to take a portion of what I've already cut and bring that guide back. Placing the spine on the back of the hair really allows you to make sure that you've got the movement and placement of that razor on point. Notice I'm pulling the hair out as it lives from Marnie's head, having her tilted down. And that's exactly what you should be doing throughout the entire black zone. Also notice that I'm not taking the entire black zone as one ginormous chunk. And that really is because we want to make sure that all the fine details of her haircut are on point. After cutting the very center of that black zone, I then split it in the center, and again, pulling out from where that hair lives. I see my guide there, placing the spine, and softly shattering off that length. Therefore, I have that entire guide throughout my black zone, delivering that wonderful soft texture that the razor is giving me. And as you can see with the surface razor, the length is removed beautifully and swiftly. There's no pulling, there's no shredding. We completely finished the black zone, and now we're traveling to the green zone. Taking about ½ an inch of the black zone, we're going to comb it into the green. Standing on the left side, if you're right-handed, we'll take a section down the center and pull the hair straight out from where it's growing. Now you can really see where our initial black zone was begun. We're going to create a little bit more length by angling out that top green zone. And again, that's to respect all length around the hair. If I wanted more length removed, we wouldn't be scooping out in such a manner. Now that we have completely finished that top black and green zone, I'm going to section out 1/2 inch of my black and 1/2 inch of my green zone to drop into the red and the blue zone. Marnie's hair has been extremely manageable throughout this entire haircut, and a lot of it has to do with the protein cream. It's keeping it soft and it's keeping it moist so that I can cut through it really nicely and comb through it nicely as well. Really working with my comb to cleanly section out 1/2 inch of the green and 1/2 inch of the black zone. Because we just finished the green and the black zone, I just dropped out 1/2 inch of the green zone and 1/2 inch of the black zone all the way around the head. We're now going to secure this and get into the portion of the Freedom haircut where we create descending layers. Starting with my first section, a mohawk-like section in the center of the head, I'm pulling directly out and then finding a little bit of our guide from the black zone. Pulling that straight out, taking my surface razor, laying that on top, and I'm going to peel towards me. What that's doing is controlling that hair, and as I'm cutting it, it's creating a bevel under. Working in this type of manner all across the head, completely respecting her perimeter. This is the red zone. The red zone is a lot finer here and here, so be very aware of what you're cutting. I'm going to choose not to touch anything directly in front of the face because this is the red zone and we're dropping it out. Moving across the head in descending layers, finding a piece of that guide from the black and the green zone all across the head. Now, if I wasn't shooting this video and really going through all the different steps of the Freedom, I would already be done. Surface haircuts take about 30 minutes. We want you to work a lot smarter behind the chair and not harder. This is our last section just over the ear, respecting that red zone that is again right in front of the hairline and directly over the ear. That tends to be fine. Pulling that out, looking at the guide, and just softly descending down. Now that we have finished, I can shake it out and really take a look at all of that wonderful movement. So often in the salon, I find guests come into your salon, they have a seat in your chair and they say, you know what, Sarah, I really want something different, but I don't want to cut any length off. I don't want to create a fringe, and I don't want any color. That's extremely challenging for any stylist. But if you know any of the 5 core cuts, it's not. And especially with Freedom, you can respect the length, but really change the shape and the overall feeling for the guest. Now that we're finished with the style, we're going to put our own spin and fine detail work on when it's dry. But one of our best tools that cannot be forgotten is some of the surface products that's going to aid in achieving that ultimate look. So we're going to get in with a little bit of our Bliss Cream. Anything throughout the entire surface line contains a Color Vita Complex. Color Vita Complex is completely made of vitamins A, C, and E, and ceramide 3 lipids. So Surface puts that in their entire line. Bliss Cream is really wonderful in controlling any kind of flyaways, static, or frizz to a blowout, as well as it keeps the hair really soft and touchable. Surface is completely free of any petrochems, plastics, or artificial fragrances. Let's make sure that we comb through so that we have an efficient blowout. And after I would use the Bliss Cream, just like I did with Marnie, I place it directly in front of her on the station with the label facing. Now it's time for the blow dry. Now that we're finished with Marnie's blow dry, it's now time for me to put the finishing personalized touches to really make her Freedom haircut that much better. I set the top of Marnie's hair for maximum volume using a variety of the Surface brown brushes. Notice that the Surface brown brushes have a really nice grip, which really allows the blood flow to flow evenly so you don't lose circulation. I sprayed it with a little bit of the Surface Theory Firm, which main ingredient is the lychee mushroom. It's a very firm holding hairspray, but at the same time, when used topically, you can easily brush through it, but it has great memory hold and humidity resistance. It uses corn starches and natural sugars to give it that great hold. we'll just take out some of these surface round brushes. It gave Marnie some great height and volume. We'll shake it out and then get into some of the dry cutting that we'll be doing with the surface razor. Typically with razors, people are really afraid of cutting on dry hair, but not with the surface razor. And a lot of that has to do with that buttery cut that it delivers, in addition to the silicone guard. Working towards the front fringe area, I'm just going to lightly and softly connect her fringe area a little bit more and go in there and create a little framing and softness around Marnie's face. Not getting really dramatic with the angle because she's a very active young lady and on occasion likes to tuck and pull her hair up. This area is looking a little bit heavy, so I'm going to use the weaving technique with the razor, which again creates short hair that will push the long hair and give a little more lift. Taking the tip of that razor and weaving in and out, just the width of that razor. I'm just going to tilt up slightly and then peel forward. It gives really great separation in the cut and a direction, as well as giving more movement and height. We'll just come around the other side now, and again with my razor, tilting in so that it curves under, and then really creating that softness around the face. And then in through the heavy area, weaving in and out, tilting slightly up, and then again down, creating great separation and then more height. See how those shorter hairs just really help to support the longer? This is a really hot tip. Through the crown, we're going to create what's called framing. Framing is creating a short network of hairs that help to hold up the longer. I'm going to take a section of that hair, combing up from where it lives. I'm going to give it a bend. And right where that hair naturally bends is where I'm going to lay the spine of my razor. I'm then going to flip the razor and make sure that it's parallel with the hair strand that I'm holding up. Taking that razor, working that all the way up to those ends. Very soft strokes, and that is called framing, creating that network of short hairs that's going to give Marnie that effortless lift without having to commit to any kind of choppy short layer throughout her cut. Now this is when I should be discussing with Marnie about her pre-booking in the salon and how this framing is going to grow out in about 6 weeks. So she's going to want to commit to a future haircut appointment with me 6 weeks at least from now, because we want to make sure that she's able to maintain that beautiful volume that the framing gave her in through that crown area. And as you can see, as I take my hand and I slowly pull up, you can see all of the wonderful support that that framing gives me in my Freedom haircut. The finishing touch to the Freedom haircut is going to come in with some surface styling aids. We already used the Theory Firm as a setting spray with some of the round brushes through the top of the head. What's nice about a lot of the surface products is they're extremely versatile. I use the Theory Firm to set with, but I can also use the Theory Firm as a nice finishing spray or to press with heat, curling, or flat ironing. We're going to create some separation in the hair by using the shaping wax from Surface. The shaping wax uses aloe fibers that help to create a nice flexible separation through the hair. Now you can really start to see that shattered perimeter come to life with the wonderful separation that the shaping wax gives you. It just really melts with the basu oil on the palm and allows you to evenly spread it throughout the hair. It's completely petrochem free. We don't use any petroleum jellies or bases, therefore it's not heavy whatsoever. One of the biggest complaints about a lot of waxes is that it is heavier or makes the hair look greasy. Shift shaping wax gives a more natural sheen to the hair, and that separation and that touchable feel, as you can see, a little goes a long way, and I just keep working that shaping wax to detail many of Marnie's ends. This is exactly how you should be showing your guests, putting a little bit on their hand and allowing them to kind of experience the product and work it through their own hair. And last but not least, heating the remainder of that up, we're going to take her fringe area and just kind of touch it to the next hair and see how that gave it a really nice connection when it was separating there. That little detail added to her fringe means a lot. And now finishing with the Theory Firm hairspray over top to give her that 24-hour hold and humidity resistance. So then she's ready to go on to the town and hopefully refer a few friends. So just to recap, today I shared a variety of what Surface has to offer. They have great styling aids, great shampoos, conditioners, tools, and a wonderful roadmap to follow, including one of the core cuts, the Surface Freedom. Surface's high-performance, salon-exclusive professional hair care that completely respects your personal health as well as the earth. Thank you for allowing me, Sara Bott, to share a little bit of the Surface brand and culture with you. And I hope that I truly inspired you to step outside of the box and embrace change.
Someone save temptation and please remember me.